Welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're diving into a seriously groundbreaking idea about wealth distribution. We're unpacking the ideas of thinker Ali Mohammed Al-Shurafa Al-Hammadi. He's basically asking us to completely rethink the relationship between society, wealth, and the people who so often get left behind.
You know that movie Parasite? If you've seen it, you definitely remember that terrifying, almost claustrophobic gap between massive wealth on one side and inescapable poverty on the other. It's a story where the rich and the destitute share the exact same space, but literally exist in different universes. And that pit in your stomach it gives you? Yeah, that's not just movie magic. That is a direct reflection of our actual world.
Well, that exact feeling of unease is what Al-Hammadi tackles head-on in this article published in Kol Ahad magazine by the Risalat al-Salam al-Alamiya Institution. He's not just pointing out that things are unfair, he's actively hunting for a structural, root-level cure to this ancient crisis, looking deep into foundational texts to find a fix that goes way beyond just tossing some coins in a charity box.
So, here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, the global wealth crisis. 2. Signs of societal collapse. 3. Charity versus obligatory right. 4. Reinterpreting the 20%. 5. Critiquing traditional jurisprudence. And 6. A blueprint for social justice. Let's get into it. Starting off with Section 1, the global wealth crisis, an unending loop of poverty.
Let's be real for a second. Why does poverty stubbornly persist while our civilizations are advancing so incredibly in material wealth? Al-Hammadi argues forcefully that this isn't just a Western crisis or an Eastern crisis, it's a universal human crisis. We're seeing this phenomenon where wealth, which should totally be a tool for building society up, actually turns into the cause of its internal collapse. When wealth just endlessly accumulates at the top and misery widens at the bottom, the structural integrity of the entire society starts to crack.
Moving to Section 2, signs of societal collapse, and history's warning for us.
History is practically shouting at us here. Take the legendary 14th century sociologist Ibn Khaldun, who famously said, "Injustice is the herald of the ruin of civilization." Al-Hammadi brings us up to remind us that empires don't usually fall because of outside invasions, they crumble from within. They collapse when that baseline feeling of justice erodes, and when everyday people entirely lose trust in the system. And building on that, he points out that the Quran explicitly links the hoarding of wealth to societal self-destruction. The command to spend isn't just presented as a nice moral suggestion. It's a vital mechanism for survival. Keeping the economy circulating is what prevents a society from tearing itself apart. So when the wealthy hoard resources, according to this view, they're not just protecting their assets, they're actively participating in the demolition of their own society.
Which brings us to Section 3, charity versus obligatory right. This is where we change the paradigm.
Okay, here is the absolute game changer. Al-Hammadi wants to completely flip how we view giving. He moves the concept of helping the poor away from this idea of optional, seasonal charity, and instead grounds it in the Quranic concept of a known right, meaning a portion of wealth is a fixed, clear entitlement for the needy, hard-coded right into the economic cycle. The needy aren't just passive recipients of someone's sympathy, they are actual rights holders within the ecosystem.
Next up, Section 4, reinterpreting the 20%, also known as the Khums revolution.
So, what's the actual number for this known right? Well, the author points to the specific Quranic concept of Khums, which translates to 1/5 or 20%. But he approaches this 20% redistribution rule with a fresh lens that seriously challenges traditional interpretations.
Now, this is super interesting. He impartially reinterprets the word ghanimtum. For centuries, classic scholars define this word really narrowly to mean war spoils, literally battlefield loot. But Al-Hammadi argues that linguistically that term is way broader. He expands it to encompass all human profits, commercial gains, and daily earnings. Basically, if you gain a profit, 20% of it is intrinsically tied to the social good. It's a continuous, dynamic cycle.
This leads to Section 5, critiquing traditional jurisprudence, or why the old rules failed.
It's a fair question, right? If these religious rules have been around for centuries, why is poverty still such a massive thing? The author argues that traditional jurisprudence just got completely bogged down in its own complexity. The old rules relied on annual cycles, known as how, and these highly complex calculations called nisab. The result? The cycle of charity was incredibly slow, while the cycle of wealth accumulation for the rich was fast and continuous. The math just didn't work, creating a permanent poverty loop.
Al-Hammadi's vision is way more direct. Every time a profit is made, that 20% is activated. It's designed to actually eradicate chronic poverty, not just put a band-aid on it.
And finally, Section 6, a blueprint for social justice, building the future.
So what does implementing this continuous 20% right actually look like in practice? By linking the rights of the needy directly to the movement of wealth, the author believes we can dry up the sources of poverty entirely. Imagine transforming traditional almsgiving into a permanent, roaring economic engine for social security. Resources get injected into society the exact moment economic growth happens. This guarantees the absolute basics for everyone: food, medicine, housing, education. And beyond just material stuff, it preserves human dignity, stops toxic class resentment in its tracks, and practically guarantees social stability.
At the end of the day, Al-Hammadi is urging us to look back at the original text to build a society where rights and responsibilities actually balance out. He envisions a world where wealth is a tool to build civilization, not a weapon that destroys it from the inside. It's a complete mental shift from hoarding to a continuous, life-giving flow.
So, I want to leave you with this to chew on. Do we accept the widening gap, or do we restructure our systems so that every single human being has a guaranteed place, dignity, and opportunity? It's a huge question about the future we actually want to build. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer today, and remember to keep questioning the system.
مؤسسة رسالة السلام العالمية، رسالة إنسانية لعالم أكثر سلاماً.